143 of the Thoughtium Navigating Now virtual roundtable series. I am Anthony Ewing, co-founder, CEO here at Thoughtium, and we are thrilled to be going live each week for you all, our Thoughtium community, bringing leaders and leadership topics that matter most to you all. And it's a special privilege when we actually get to go face-to-face with one of our community leaders. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of nonprofit partnerships, and to start that conversation and bring that conversation to the forefront of our table, we have a leader in our community, Kim Hannay. She's the executive director and co-founder at Digs with Dignity, a 501c3 organization based here in Chicago that is doing some incredible work to put not only smiles on folks' faces, but create incredible spaces and homes for those that are in need here in Chicago. So Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Really excited to be here.
Yes. And again, just super privileged to have you face to face. We love doing these shows face to face. Kim is here in the Chicago area. Our organization, Thoughtium, has been tapped into and supporting Digs with Dignity for, gosh, it's coming up on a year and a half now. And the impact that we've been able to make through the work that we've done with you, and the impact that Digs has had on us as an organization will be at the forefront of the conversation today. But first and foremost, Kim, tell us a little bit about Digs with Dignity and the work that you do here in Chicago.
Yeah, so we've been doing this since October of 2019. Digs was founded on the idea of collecting furniture and home goods from the community and then using them to furnish homes for families that are exiting homelessness. So our mission is really just to, break that cycle of homelessness by furnishing homes with creative custom designs using sustainable upcycled solutions. So everything that we use in homes is recycled from the community. So we collect furniture, home goods, linens, knickknacks, artwork, everything that goes into a home. We collect it into our warehouse. We have a 10,000 square foot warehouse down in Bridgeport, and it is packed floor to ceiling with donated goods from the community. And then on a weekly basis, we get connected through families who have recently been placed in housing through their social service agencies. They move into these spaces, oftentimes coming from shelters where they don't have anything. You think logistically about it. If you lose your home, you move into a shelter. It's not like they have storage units there for you to put your stuff in. So a lot of times they move into those shelters with just a couple, personal mementos, small items, clothing. So then when they're moving out of that shelter, it's the same thing that they're leaving with, which is very little. Yeah. So they get into these spaces. Their case managers oftentimes don't really have much of a budget to give them a fully furnished space, let alone a mattress. So a lot of times we walk in, our families are sleeping on an air mattress or the floor. And with our designer, Beth, who is also one of our co-founders, she goes in, measures their space, takes pictures of everything, and then creates custom floor plans for these families to have this home that they really just feel like is theirs, and creates this beautiful custom space for them. And we use it, or we create those homes by using upcycled furniture from the community. So my other partner, Jan, another co-founder who is a retired woodworker, literally transforms pieces of furniture on a daily basis by painting, sanding, restaining them, changing out knobs, and just making any tired old piece of furniture look like it's brand new. And so we take these beautiful pieces, we design them, custom create the space for them based on what the family expresses that they like color-wise, or, if their kids are into Disney or Paw Patrol, or, the unique things that what would it take to make this space feel like a home for you? Yeah. And so using, volunteers from the community, we pull together a home every week. And then every Friday we're out on the road moving these families in.
Yeah. First of all, I love how just tight and clear that description is in terms of what you do, because oftentimes, you learn a little bit about a nonprofit, and the point of impact is maybe 2 or 3 layers deeper than what you're able to contribute as somebody who wants to step in and, make a difference. Right. And one of the things that we love about Digs with Dignity is the way that you work with your volunteers. You almost put them at the center of the point of impact, which ultimately culminates in the volunteers being in this house that is being refurnished and replenished. So we'll talk a little bit about that experience, the volunteer experience, because it's something you've never experienced before in terms of the volunteer work that at least I've done in my career. But I want to stay on kind of the mission here, because I think it's extremely unique. You're serving a population of folks that have found some housing, they're in transition, but find themselves in situations where they don't have even just the day-to-day needs that make them feel comfortable, which is an interesting juxtaposition. People that have homes, but oftentimes inside are living with like massive discrepancies, like no furniture or no mattresses, right?
Right.
And so, tell us a little bit about, how you source these individuals or these families that you help out, because I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are in this position.
Yeah, well, and that's the hard thing, right? Like getting housing is one thing, but
Yeah.
getting housed and staying housed is a totally different thing. And oftentimes that furniture, like the things that make us feel good and safe and
Yeah.
comfortable in
Yeah.
our homes, like you don't move in with those if you're coming from a shelter.
Yeah.
So giving the people, the space to thrive and focus on other things and focus on feeding their families and all of that. If you're a single mom, you move into a new space and you've got 3 little kids and you have, X amount of dollars every week, and you can either buy a couch or you can feed your family. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, we come in. It's just removing this big barrier that these people are facing. And that's kind of the need that myself, Jan, and Beth kind of saw. And it really takes the best of our talents and puts it into one business where we can really help people and really make an impact and change that for these people.
Mm-hmm. I love what you say about, what makes a home feel good, right? Food, water, shelter, these are all basic needs. But the way that you feel within your home is something totally different. And I think we can all recall or even think back to, the homes that we grew up in, as children, or, the homes that we even have today. Like what makes you feel good about that home is everything that's inside of it. And outside of the people, there are some really important things, things that commemorate the past, pictures, picture frames, things that make you feel comfortable. As you mentioned, comforters, comfortable beds. And then as well, just, things that make you feel excited and a part of the home. And we'll talk about a few of those things as we get into the experience here of what we call a digs day, which is furnishing one of these homes. But I want to talk a little bit about kind of the process, because the process really starts with this incredible warehouse that you have in Chicago. So tell us about your warehouse and tell us how you even get the volunteers involved in kind of prepping for the furnishing of these homes.
Yeah, sure. So when we started in 2019, we had one little storage locker at a public storage space. And every single day we'd go in, we'd roll up the garage door, pull everything out in the hallway, sort through it all, pack it back in at the end of the day. Like it was very inefficient, but it's what we could afford at the time. And one storage unit very quickly grew to 2, which grew to 7. And by the time we left that storage unit 8 months later, and we finally found a warehouse space, we moved into about 5,000 square feet. And from there, found some really great wood fixtures, and Jan has done a lot of like build out work and making everything kind of custom created in the warehouse for us and what really works efficiently for our team of volunteers and our staff. And, and then from there, we've expanded 4 times since and are now up to about 10,000 square feet of space. So packed floor to ceiling with stuff. And it's a constant challenge and fun puzzle for Jan to kind of keep building out different fixtures and growing up in our space and all of that to figure out how we most efficiently utilize that space. But what it's really done is created a really great custom space for us every single week to pull these homes together and keeps that efficiency up for us.
Yeah. I mean, this warehouse is absolutely incredible. For somebody who at a young age used to go to garage sales and try to curate kind of like the coolest pieces from people's past, it's almost like this is like a treasure trove of that.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely massive. And so, we're talking about things that are even more distinct and low touch as like, again, picture frames or video game consoles for kids, books that kids might, read, things to draw and color with, furnishings for a bathroom, where do you put your toothbrush, things of that nature. All of the little details that make a house a home are in this warehouse, and it's absolutely expansive. And one of the things that you can do as a volunteer is you can actually go and help kind of prep for one of these furnishings. And that work is so much fun because you learn a little bit about the family, right?
Yep.
You learn about their needs, the makeup of their family. Do they have kids? What are their kids involved in? And then you get to go and kind of like curate that space or create the space, if you will, by putting together rooms that are based on, the special interest of the folks that live in it. And
Right.
to me, that's like maybe one of the more fun components of the whole process.
Totally. Well, and I think that's something that also really sets apart the work that we do and where our priorities are and where our values are as a founding team is that the connection is really important for us. So,
Right.
we're not just dumping furniture into a home and saying, here you go, take our leftovers. Like it's really like we spend an hour plus getting to know these families on that initial interview. So we go in, we ask them like, do you like tea or coffee? Do you like to bake? Are your kids into Spider-Man? What are their favorite colors and what kind of books do they like to read? And are they readers? And do you want a TV in your space? Do you want one in the living room? Do you want one in your bedroom? Or where do you want things? And, if you have a wish list item for each room, like what would it be? And, if you could imagine like how you feel when you walk into your room, especially for moms, like, what do you want to feel? And like, do you want to feel safe and comfortable and just relax? And like, do the colors that you're choosing reflect that? And like, we just like take the time to get to know people and hear people.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the pretty crazy thing sometimes, like in those initial interviews is that people are like, no one's ever asked me if I want, what kind of art I like to look at or what my favorite colors are. And so I think for them, it's a little shocking to like have somebody who's like, I want to hear you. Like, I want to listen to you and I want to give you everything that we can, because why not?
Yeah.
Because you absolutely deserve it with the hardship that a lot of our clients have gone through and then getting them to this point. Let's like take away all odds that you're going to fall back into that cycle of homelessness and give you this beautiful space. Cause you can. There's so much stuff in the community that our warehouse is always packed. Getting furniture in the door has never been an issue for us. And so we've got lots to pick from, and we got, all the tools at our disposal to make this house like a beautiful, comfortable, safe space for them.
And then the way that you work with volunteers, whether they're individual volunteers or in our case, like our entire team, is they get to be a part of like the entire process. They get to learn about the family that we're designing and implementing for. They get to come to the warehouse and start to like curate some of the things. And then as well, this culminates in what we call a digs day,
right?
Which is where you go into the home. You have the home for the full, like the empty house for the full day. And almost in a day, you do this like magic makeover.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so much more than just a makeover. It's like literally building out and furnishing the entire home.
Right.
But you've got this like huge team of volunteers that are doing it. And the energy is just palpable because it's so much more than, stuffing bags or folding shirts. Like you're actually in a house creating space for individuals, and you're allowing some of these dreams and this input that you got through these interviews come to life.
Right.
And there's a certain sense of creativity and ingenuity in the way that we design and build out these rooms, and you leave it to the volunteers to kind of put their own special touch on it as well too. Yeah, which I think is super cool. So talk a little bit about Digs Days and kind of the magic behind that, because even for you all, that's kind of the pinnacle of your week, right?
Oh, totally. It's always a feel good Friday. Digs, always. I think that's the really unique part about our volunteer opportunities is that you really get the opportunity to connect with that end user, right? Like from, pulling in the warehouse, like you have a face and, a little kid's face in mind, a little picture of the kid when you're building out a gallery wall and pulling stuff for their bedroom and stuff. So you like really get to connect with like a human being of what you're doing this work for, right? And then you go on the digs day, and every day starts where we meet the family that, the family kind of greets us, lets us into their space, and then they leave for the day. So from the start of the day, you meet that family, you get to connect with them on that level, but then they leave for the day. And a lot of times, we have a conversation with sponsors or volunteers or anybody who comes with us on our moves, and they're like, well, where's all their stuff? And I think that's probably the question that we get the most on moves is that like, well, where's all the stuff? When are they moving in? And it's like, when you look around, like this is what they have. Like what you see is what they're living with. And I think that's a pretty jarring, eye-opening experience as a volunteer that like, you don't realize that like, when we say I have nothing, they have nothing. Yeah. Like they're walking into an empty apartment every day until we bring them furniture. And then at the end of the day, after we, move everything, give everything a quick clean, unpack bins, hang artwork, make beds, stock the kitchen. Kitchen's a full day job where you get to organize all their cabinets and kind of set everything up for them. Folding towels and making their bathroom feel like cozy and wonderful. And, everything is ready and staged and good to go for that family to welcome them home. But then our volunteers also get the opportunity to be a part of that end of the day experience where we're welcoming that family home. You get to see firsthand like their reaction to their new space. And you get to cry with them, laugh with them, give hugs. Like it's a very like unique experience where you get to feel that energy and go through that emotion with them, which I feel like is how like keeps us so connected to our mission is when you get to experience like the impact that you're making within a 5-hour day. You walk in, it's empty, you turn it over, and then you give it to them all in, a 5-6 hour volunteer experience. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's incredible. To see the reaction of these families as they walk into their new homes, to feel that emotion, and also to hear directly from them just the incredible level of like gratitude and excitement. I mean, it's the most feel good you possibly can. And again, so unique as a volunteer, that is like the point of impact. Like so rare. It's so rare to put in volunteer time and actually see it like actually unfold in front of you the way that I know we've experienced. The Thoughtium team has been part of warehouse days. We've also been a part of digs days, and it's just been incredible to kind of like follow that journey. And then oftentimes you stay in touch with these families, and they give updates or they show up at one of your events, and they tell the story of like the impact of this investment, in them and their family and their relationships with their children, not just from like a health and wellness perspective, but also just from like a feel good perspective, a quality of life perspective, if you will. So that's the Digs with Dignity experience. Let's talk a little bit about, the partnerships that you form, because one of the things as a small business here in Chicago, we really wanted to invest in the community in some unique ways. We wanted to give back. We started thinking about, what does that program look like for us? Are we giving are we giving a few days to our employees to actually spend out in the community? Are we collectively doing something? And Amanda and Nora, part of our team, touched base with you guys and said, I think this is a really good opportunity. And it's just been lights out ever since. And I want to talk about like what makes a good partnership as you bring teams within corporations or entire corporations, and like, what do you look for? What are some of the benefits of bringing like a full team in versus like a, group of individuals?
A lot. We love working with our corporate sponsors. I mean, bottom line, what we do costs money, right? Like it costs us money to go into these homes, to pay our staff, to pay our rent at our warehouse, to have a truck, to, do the work that we do. And how we've kind of grown around that is really building out like a really strong corporate sponsorship program. And what that looks like is that a corporate team, the cost of every move for us is about $5,000. So that team will cover the cost, whether they, write a check from the corporation or whether their team fundraises that money and covers the cost. But then once they, commit to that corporate sponsorship, then their team gets to come and be a part of it. So like you had mentioned, coming into the warehouse to, to help out, or coming on the digs day for the move, like your team gets to have that hands-on experience. And so for us, it's been really kind of cool working with different organizations and like figuring out what they do and hearing how everybody, kind of views philanthropic work and corporate social responsibility and all of that. And like what your obligation you feel as a corporation is to come back and give back to your community. And what kind of example you're setting for your team. And, and if you're, engaged in bringing everybody in, or, do you give a volunteer day here or there to your team? But what are you doing as an organization on a bigger level to impact the community? And I think that's where, we've had some really great conversations and really great organizations come in and work with us. And it's always fun working with a new team and kind of spreading that, spreading the word about digs and the work that we're doing. And a lot of those corporate sponsors and individuals who come on those digs days have then turned into individual donors or regular volunteers in other capacities, or helping at our gala or things like that. So people kind of take that experience, and then they're like, okay, how else can I get involved? And then it kind of grows on an individual level outside of that corporate giving. I
mean, I know for us, we chose to collectively fundraise the $5,000, and there was such a positive kind of side effect or like byproduct of that, which was like we were immediately invested in this effort. and we were spreading the word and we were telling stories in order to raise funds, as opposed
Right.
to like easily could have just cut a check.
Totally.
You know, all of us had kind of our share in it, which allowed all of us to really enroll in the value proposition and like the story of dignity. It
Right.
got us all individually more closer to like why we're doing this work.
Right.
And it was exciting when we hit the goal and we surpassed it, and we were super excited as a team. And then again, you know, we were involved in a few warehouse days and the Digs Day. The other thing too, you know, for us as a small business, we really do appreciate partnerships like this that allow kind of each side to co-create a little bit. So,
Right.
you know, one of the things that we've done with you all is we've helped by, you know, providing insights, some benchmarking, and even some like practical advice on, you know, how to build and scale your organization. And that has
Totally.
felt good as well too.
Totally.
So like, you know, we feel like we can give in more ways than just fundraising and being at the point of impact, which feeds our souls.
Totally.
But also we know that we can provide value by potentially supporting and helping you grow your business, which like these partnerships just light us up, you know.
Yeah.
Particularly Amanda and Nora, I think, have just been so excited to be able to provide support. I know that you all are looking at hiring some folks, and we've been able to kind of chip in on job descriptions and what that might look like.
Totally.
You know, how to kind of install an operational backbone. This is all our bread and butter.
Yeah.
And it's been so cool to be able to provide value that way, which I think is a unique way of thinking about partnering with a nonprofit. Is
Right.
not just cutting checks or making sure that like your matching program is doing its thing. And it maybe even goes beyond just donating your time. Like maybe it's also sitting at the table with a nonprofit and saying like, what are some real business opportunities that you have?
Yeah.
And where can we potentially support there?
Right.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about maybe like the work that you've done with like Amanda and Nora, and where that collaboration or that partnership has really supported the growth of Digs with Dignity.
Yeah. So like you had mentioned, I've been working with Amanda on some specific hiring things. You know, we're in a place where we're growing. We're a staff of 6 right now, and hoping to grow to a staff of 10 by the end of the year. So with that, I know I've had a lot of conversations with Amanda and the work that you guys do here, and, you know, the growing pains of hiring and retaining people and all of that. And how are we as a nonprofit avoiding making those mistakes and taking Amanda's stumbles and turning them into our, you know, potential opportunities to just succeed on the first hire. You know, and we've, of course, we're a business, right? We've had those issues of retaining people and turnover and things like that. So I think really taking the opportunity to talk with Amanda has been so helpful in painting that picture ahead of time. I know she speaks very highly to that work that has been helpful in getting the right people in the door the first time. Is that like, how are you painting the experience that your organization is giving somebody? You know, for us at Digs, it's obviously someone who's mission focused. It's obviously someone who likes to roll their sleeves up and get their hands dirty. I mean, we are a group of workers, and there's nothing that I will ask anybody to do that I won't do myself. I'm often moving furniture, sweaty and gross every Friday, you know, like, so we're really like a group of doers, and it's been cool to kind of shape what that looks like in a job description and how much more accurately it kind of like portrays that image and kind of sets that expectation ahead of time. So it's been awesome working with her. And and kind of what you had said about corporate sponsors and how they've gotten involved on bigger levels. I think that's been really cool as we're continuing to grow out our board, like having you join our board and having other sponsors. And you know, Katie from Bowery and Bash, like she's been a great sponsor for us as well. And now she sits on our board, and it's just like getting people with, you know, entrepreneurial spirits, people who have like had experience growing a business and making pivotal decisions for an organization. And how are we taking like those opinions, thoughts, ideas, learnings, and putting them into where we're at so that we're growing this organization in a really like healthy, sustainable way that feels good for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. So it's exciting that you're growing a board, and I can imagine the impact that type of like diversity of thought and experience and expertise will bring to Digs.
Yeah.
I know there's probably a lot of people out there that are involved on a board or maybe wanting to get involved in a board. Tell us, like, what are some of the things that you are looking for in a board member, and what are some of the things that like a board member could expect in joining a nonprofit board?
Yeah. So we're new, right? We're only
Yeah.
been around for 3.5 years. So we've surely had our own learnings like with growing a board. I think when we first started Digs, it was, we're starting with a group of passionate individuals who are really close to our mission and are here to help us, financially support and grow the organization from this very startup new level to functioning. And now we're at a point where we're like, okay, now we've been stable for a while. We've been compensating our employees for a while. Like we have this like a little bit more financial stability, and we've got some steam going. And, and so how are we now getting the right people in the door that are going to help build out future Digs? And what does that look like? Does it look like expansion of our programs? Does it look like expansion of our location? Does it look like expansion of whatever? I mean, there's so many different ways we can grow, but how are we as a collective deciding on that and doing it in a really healthy, sustainable way? So I feel like, God, an ideal board member for me is someone who is hungry for that entrepreneur, for us specifically, at being at the where we're at, like someone who is hungry to help a startup organization turn into, keep growing in a very functional way. People who are engaged, people who are, want to make an impact and are kind of approaching it from like, what is the legacy that I as an individual am going to make as a board member? But not only that, what is the legacy of this current board going to be?
Yeah.
So I think really thinking like on that larger picture, larger scale of like, what is the impact that I want to have on this organization when you walk away from it, and you can clearly articulate that or shape what that looks like over several years. Someone who's hungry for that instead of just being along for the ride.
I totally agree. I mean, for an organization as like in growth and development as you are, to be a part of the board, like it's got to be a self-starting group. It's got to be a group that kind of self-identify opportunities. There's no like playbook that you're going to hand over saying like, here's the process that you're going to follow for the next several years, which makes it exciting, especially for someone like myself that's a little bit more entrepreneurial to know that like you can come in and have that leeway. I would say maybe if you're looking for more structure and more of like an actual game plan of what's expected of you, you might look to like larger nonprofits that have a little bit of playbook, or one that's been around for longer. Yeah. So I want to wrap up with just a couple of things, maybe learnings from, our team having worked with you all, especially for our community out there that are looking to get more involved in nonprofit work, to strike unique partnerships with 501c3s like Digs with Dignity, to get your team or your organization involved. There's a couple of things that really come to mind. First and foremost, you clearly need to find a cause that you can all get behind and feel passionate about. I think that's very kind of obvious. I would also look for an organization where the point of impact is very real and you're as close to it as possible.
Totally.
So if you're being kind of plugged into this like assembly line of work that's needed, great. But if you really want to make an impact and see that impact, you've got to ask about like, how can we be at the point of impact and what does that look like? And for us, I mean, it's been feet on ground, it's been Digs Day, it's been pouring into your organization. And we just know we have like endless amounts of opportunity to do that.
Totally.
And then thirdly, I would say getting everybody on your team involved and looking for opportunities, not just by way of fundraising and donating time, but how also can you potentially pour into the business with unique expertise or practices that, maybe you all have at scale within your organization, which is a little bit of a kind of a cool way that we've been working with you as well too. So any other, best practices or thoughts for teams that are looking to partner with an organization like Digs with Dignity?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with all those. And and those are our most enjoyable partnerships too, because we get to know your team on a deeper level. And then it also keeps that engagement of your team. If you're looking to like sustain impact, it's not a one and done volunteer opportunity, right? Like we've now had a working partnership with you guys for a long time, and it feels like it's an ongoing working partnership, and you guys can feel that impact and enjoy that impact with us, versus it just being like, okay, we did a Digs Day in January and like, we're done. We'll see you next year. But how are you sustaining that partnership long term and making it a really collaborative, unique opportunity for both of us?
I love that. Are you ready for like a lightning round, like pop quiz lightning round about
All
Kim
right,
Hannay?
let's go.
Okay, cool. Let's learn more about Kim. And Kim the human, right?
Yeah.
Not just the executive director at board with Digs with Dignity, but Kim the human. So tell us, Kim, what are you like geeking out about today? And that could be like a show you're watching or like a food you're eating. Like what's just really getting you jazzed?
Right now I'm moving in a month, and
Ooh.
Facebook Marketplace and the hunt for furniture is getting me fired up right now. Yes.
You mean you don't know a good place to find a bunch of like awesome furniture?
Now I got to get my own.
Facebook Marketplace is endless, man.
But it's so fun and it's very addicting.
Yeah. You know, what I find is so interesting, like even just like from like a social perspective, is like going on Facebook and seeing what other people are just like randomly selling is so interesting. It's so interesting. There's so many times when I see something and I'm like, man, like you're getting rid of like this like $8 spatula and like you've gone through the motions to like put it on Facebook, but people need the money and I'm
gonna spend the time meeting you to hand you my spatula for $8.
Yes. What are some of the big finds on Facebook Marketplace?
Patio stuff. We're gonna have our own patio. Nice. So we got a grill, got like table and chairs, got a couple like recliner chairs that are really cozy. So yeah, really pumped to have like an outdoor space.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's say that you are in the middle of a work day and it's really, really busy and you get a moment to just like pause and take a deep breath and look out the window or maybe out the front door gate of your warehouse and you're just like gazing out into space. What's on your mind?
That's a hard one. To-do list, honestly.
Is it?
Yeah. When I'm in it, I'm in it. It's hard to get out of it until I'm like home and shut it off.
Usually it's people's pets or like the next thing that they have to do.
Yeah, it's
like
the next thing usually. Yep, the next thing or the to-do list.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Are you reading anything or listening to anything?
I'm a big Brené Brown fan.
Yeah.
I just finished her Atlas of the Heart.
Love it.
So all about the 86 emotions and learning about just kind of how to better articulate them.
Mm-hmm.
Really good book.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a great one. I listen to her podcasts, listen to her books, read her books. Like she's great.
You have a pretty diverse background of like, experience professionally, personally. What's like the one skill or attribute that you learned from a previous job or role that you've brought to this role at Digs with Dignity?
Hard conversations.
Yeah.
I of all places, Lululemon actually has an incredible leadership training program.
Mm-hmm.
And they really stress hard conversations and how to have them and when you know the right time for feedback is and all of that. So the skills that I learned for how to have hard conversations from that job is something that I've definitely taken with me.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Last question. I want you to think about one thing that you really admire about yourself. Okay. I know for a lot of us, this is really difficult, but think of one thing that you really admire about yourself and finish this sentence. If the world were a lot more like Kim, the world would be more what?
Kind.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Right after the hard conversation, a little bit of kindness.
Yeah, a little bit of kindness.
Awesome. Well, Kim, we so appreciate your time today. We appreciate the partnership that we've had with you. We know that this is really just the beginning. We're so thrilled to be supporting your effort, your mission, your cause. And we also want other people who are excited to work with a very, very exciting, uniquely local organization to get in touch. So how can folks get in touch if they want to get involved?
Yeah. So a couple things. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok. We're on all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Except there's a new platform out now, right? Did you hear about that?
Threads. I just heard about it today. Yeah.
Don't know what it is yet.
Who knew?
But we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of platforms.
Yep.
So follow us on all the platforms. If you're interested in sponsorship, Jill is the one who handles all of our sponsorship and all of our corporate partners. So Jill at digswithdignity.org is her email address, or shoot us an email, hit our website up. We'll get you to the right person.
Yeah.
And then, if you want to come volunteer, we got sign up on our website and, follow along.
Awesome. I think, is it next Wednesday? Like our half of our team are going to be out at the warehouse.
Yeah, we can't wait.
Putting baskets together and picture frames and mural walls and all this stuff. So we're super excited to be involved. So search Digs with Dignity, reach out to Kim or anybody on her team. We so appreciate your partnership, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for all you do.
Awesome. So we will see you all next week. We go live every Thursday at 3:00. You can find this episode and all previous episodes at www.thoughtium.com/live. We want to thank our LinkedIn community, Facebook, and YouTube for joining. And we so look forward to seeing you all next week.